We're very fortunate to be leading this off with Linda Epps, who is the librarian from the Nicola Valley Institute of Technology in beautiful Merritt, BC. Over to you, Linda.
Kuksjam, yakentlo. Kuksjam kala sawas jeans maskuyam squamish ala sewaltul. Nshkwat njawa kalpina. Njawa stahan in la kapung. Qainchitin in la kapung chin. Homal kuksjam. I just acknowledged the territory that I'm on, and I introduced you by my traditional name, which is Gatbina, and it means a person who doesn't quit. And I'm in Tlakapung. A little bit about myself. We're taught not to brag in our communities, but I tend to want to tell people my little story. I have 3 associate's degrees. I have a guidance diploma from UBC, I have a master's from UBC, and I have a master's in information resources and library science from the University of Arizona. In grade 5, I could barely speak English, and I was labeled TMR. For those of you who don't know what TMR is, it's trainably mentally retarded. So I think for someone with that label, I've accomplished a lot, and I like to share that. I'm a librarian at NVIT, which is an Aboriginal institution. NVIT's mandate, I think, coincides with the Truth and Reconciliation, and that is one of education. Our mandate is to serve Aboriginal students and First Nations communities. However, we accept any and all students from anywhere. We've even had international students at our facility. In terms of following the mandate of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, NVIT ensures that the Aboriginal students who attend receive holistic assistance when needed. We provide emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual guidance. This is led and supported by our Council of Elders. We have elders on our site Monday through Thursday, and students are more than welcome to come to go and see them and discuss their issues. NVIT also provides students with traditional and Western style counseling. An important difference that NVIT as an Aboriginal institution does is to provide students with access to traditional healing ceremonies, such as smudging. I, as an elder, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, smudge the students every Monday to begin the week, and every Friday to end the week. Elders provide sweats for both the women and the men. I perform a full moon woman ceremony, if asked to. There's drumming on a regular basis in our facility. I love coming in on Tuesdays and hear the drumming, and it vibrates through the whole building, and it just makes me feel really at home and comfortable. We provide weekly craft making, and also courses in the Ntlakapung language, as well as courses in traditional medicines. Many of you know about the oppression of Aboriginal people in terms of their ability to acquire adequate education, and I think I just gave you an example, my example. I went to school on a reserve from grades 1 through 5, and when I got to public school, I didn't know what they were talking about. Two of our practices that I remember at the reserve school. This is totally different than residential school. This is where we lived on reserve and went to school on the reserve. One was we had to go out under this big pine tree and gather pine needles, and we could only gather them one by one. It took most of the day, and that was my education, gathering pine needles. We didn't do anything with them, we just gathered them. The other one was to pick up little rocks and put them in a pail, and we filled those up. When I got to grade 5, I didn't know what addition, multiplication, geography, subtraction. I didn't know those words. They were foreign to me. So that just shows some of our experiences on the reserve separate from residential school. And yet, we as a group were not included in any of the residential school, I don't know what to call it, compensations, or the day scholars who went to residential school are included, but the students who went to school on reserve are not included in that at all. Yet, we suffered greatly, similar to those who went to residential school. So I digress. NVIT exists to provide a high standard of education to our students by providing them with total support, encouraging them to be able to make good decisions, and providing them with the knowledge and skills to assist them in creating better futures for themselves. We have several disciplines at NVIT that teach about residential schools and colonization, and that would be the social work program, criminology, women's studies, university transfer courses, First Nations and Indigenous studies. An important aspect of those who attended residential school is their desire, especially now, to acquire an education, both traditionally and mainstream education. I've been asked this last week to provide reference letters for those who are applying for that, I can't recall the name, National Brotherhood, it's Trust Fund, exactly. So we've got elders who are coming and who want to go to school. And a lot of them aren't sure what they want. A lot of them need upgrading. They just want an education, and they're very keen on it. We in NVIT endeavors to provide this to all of their students with the values of respect, integrity, growth and development, and inclusion. In terms of librarianship, elders have called us knowledge keepers. I'm a knowledge keeper. My role as a librarian is to ensure that students have accurate, historical, and current information to compile their research. In addition to this, I do have a master's in counseling, and I have disclosed to you that I have learning disabilities, so I can really help the students when they need help because I understand where they're coming from. Some of our elders don't, their first language wasn't English, but yet I understand them. And I think sometimes, for example, I have an elder who speaks Intlekapungchin fluently, and she's struggling to write a paper for social work because she wants to be a social worker. I told her, and I've told her, you have a gift. You have the gift of our language. You should be teaching that, not social work. But she wants to be a social worker. As a member of the Intlekapunk Nation, my personal goal is to ensure that I assist any and all Aboriginal students. My passion is to create or encourage our students, or some of our students, to become librarians, to become archivists, because it's a dire need in our community. We don't have archives. We don't have facilities. And I know that on many of our reserves, our information is kept in boxes and basements and storage units. And I recall Jean Joseph telling us about when she was the librarian for the Gitsan Wet'suwet'en settlement, that the horrendous places she had to go to get the information, and some of it actually made her ill because they had been stored for so long and had been contaminated. So as I said, I am and will continue to be a valuable asset, I think, to our students because I know where they come from. And earlier, I just want to share with you as I came into this room, I don't know if many of you know Patricia Angus Montour. She's Cree. She wrote an article about being the only First Nations person at a conference. And when I walked in here, it just hit me. And I said, oh, Patricia, I know what you're talking about. So I'm grateful to see that there are a few brown faces here. It makes me a little bit more comfortable. And I share that with you because I want you to know that when we do walk into a room full of non-Native people, it affects us because we feel as if we're answerable for everything and everyone, and we can't be. I'm responsible and answerable to my Inuktitut Nation, and that's where my loyalties lie, that's where I'm from, and that's what I'm committed to because I'm Inuktitut. So having said that, my heart has stopped beating so fast. I'm not confused as I was when I first started because I think in telling the truth, it frees you. And so I wrote this down and I shared it with my young colleague because I felt I had to share it with someone. And she said, tell them. And I have. And I thank you for your attention. And if there are any questions, the one thing I would suggest to people about assisting Aboriginal students is to give them time. For example, because I have a learning disability, it takes me longer to digest information. My employer knows this, so if I'm given a task, it might take someone else an hour, but it's going to take me 3. So with some of the Aboriginal students whose first language is not English, I ask that you slow down when you speak to them and make sure they really understand what it is you're saying. Because sometimes, as in the case of my elder, when I talk to her about research, I tell her or ask her, tell me in Inuktitut what you know about this. And she rattles it on and on and on. And I said, so, if you can say it in Inuktitut, you can say it in English. And she said, oh, I never thought of that. And she's, as I said, an elder in our community. And my passion also is to help the elders. I know I can retire, but I don't want to. I feel my role isn't complete yet. And just the other day, I had a student come and see me. He's in his 40s. He took a course at NBIT, and he failed math. And I suggested to him to go to SCIDES. I don't know what that's an acronym for, but I know it's an online, and he can get his high school from there. So he went, and he came to me the other day. And he brought me his diploma. And he said, you're my elder. You encouraged me when my own family called me stupid and lazy. You told me I could do it. I said, yes, and you can go further. So he's applied to go into our trades program now. So it takes I don't know if a lot of you can do it, but you have to reach down deep and find that personal connection with another individual to be able to help them. And that's what I do on a daily basis. That's why I have over 5,000 students come into my library. Although our FTE is only 350, I have 5,000 students come into my library every month, just about every month, because I encourage them. And I do outreach, and that's really important as well. Whenever I go out into the cafeteria or into the school, if I see a student, I'll say, make sure you come and visit me. Come and see me, and let's talk. Because I know that they're struggling in their education, and sometimes they just need a piece of chocolate or someone to encourage them and tell them that they can do it. And that's what I do.